India's Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj will be attending the 46th session of Organisation of Islamic Cooperation. Foreign ministers meet as guest of honour. The news assumes significance as OIC has been known to condemn India. Lately, OIC has not been very pro-India and has been issuing statements on Kashmir on Pakistan's insistence. India's strong position at the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation means India's diplomacy in West Asia is making an impact. And to bring us more details, I am now joined in by a principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal, who joins me on the phone line. Let's quickly go across to Siddhant. Siddhant, taking into consideration that the Saudi Crown Prince was in India just a few days ago, and it's the first time that India has been invited to the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation, should India view this as a major diplomatic development, especially when it comes to condemning terror emanating from Pakistan?
Well, it's not only a major diplomatic development, but it's a major diplomatic victory for India. India, for the first time, this is for the first time that India has been invited as a guest of honor at the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. We know that OIC has been issuing statements against India, especially on Kashmir, on the insistence of Pakistan. But it's a big diplomatic victory primarily because of India's growing engagement with the West Asian countries. As you just mentioned, the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince was in India, and we know both the prince and, of course, the Indian leadership condemned the Pulwama attack. This immediately after his visit to Pakistan. And with UAE also, we have seen India engaging very much. We know this meeting is going to take place in UAE on 1st and 2nd of March in Abu Dhabi. And this invitation was sent by the UAE's foreign minister to India, and India accepted. While accepting the invitation, India said that we see this invitation as a welcome recognition of the presence of 185 million Muslims in India and India's contribution to the Islamic world. India is the second largest country when it comes to Muslim population, only after Indonesia, and still not the member of OIC, something that experts have been talking about for a pretty long time. So this is a development which shows that despite the dehyphenation which has taken place in India's foreign policy when it comes to Israel and Palestine, we know that India now deals with Palestine in a different way, Israel in a different way, which was criticized by experts, saying that this could impact India in a major way, especially when it comes to popularity in West Asian countries. This, of course, hasn't dented. Instead, India is now getting a different recognition at the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation, an organization which used to, in the past, has been condemning India at the insistence of Pakistan, but by and large a major development.
Absolutely, it is a major development, and equally interesting would be to see what will be OIC's take on terrorism especially. And talking of terrorism, now Afghanistan has lodged a strong complaint with the United Nations Security Council against Pakistan for the second time. This makes it 2 complaints in just under a week. The nature of complaints include persistent shelling of the Afghan territory, violation of Afghan airspace by Pakistani aircraft. Afghanistan says this is a grave breach of the UN Charter. Earlier on 17th February, a letter written to the UNSC said Pakistan's invitation to the Taliban amounted to a violation of Afghanistan's national sovereignty. And let's quickly go back to Siddhant on this news story also, which is a big news story that is coming in. We have Siddhant on the phone line with us. Now, Siddhant, it's important to talk about how, Afghanistan is at the UNSC doorstep for a second time. Clearly, there is increasing pressure on Pakistan to act on terror. You must share with us what the letter actually states when it comes to the Afghan government's viewpoint.
Well, basically, a letter focuses on how the Pakistani military has been creating issues in Afghanistan, especially with its consistent violation of the Afghan territory. It also names the villages and districts, particularly the Kunar and the Nangarhar provinces, which border Pakistan, and how there have been consistent violations. But what it shows is a general trend how Pakistan is considered a nuisance in the region. We have seen it ever since the terror attack which took place in India and Iran. We know that there was a major terror attack in Iran also in the southeastern Sistan, Baluchistan province, and a day after that we saw the Pulwama terror attack. And since then, Pakistani diplomats, of course, have been facing a lot of issue, I would say, because all the diplomats, whether it's in Iran, whether it's in Afghanistan or India, have been summoned in just last 1 week. And we have seen this is the second time that Afghanistan has gone to the United Nations Security Security Council complaining about Pakistan. The last time it went was on the issue of Taliban. Remember, Islamabad said that it will be hosting a meeting between the Taliban representative and with the Pakistani Prime Minister, something that Afghanistan did not took it lightly. It went to the United Nations Security Council, and after that, the meet was postponed. That is what Taliban said, but it is practically now cancelled because the Taliban leaders are listed at the United Nations Security Council terror list, and they cannot fly out from their respective safe haven. So primarily, Afghanistan clearly telling the world that it's time that the world should speak on Pakistan, and it also showcases the growing diplomatic isolation of Pakistan. We have seen in the last 24 hours what has happened from the United Nations Security Council in New York to Paris, where the FATF meet took place. We have seen Pakistan getting the raps. In the United Nations Security Council, there was this condemnation of the Pulwama attack. But what was significant was Jaish-e-Mohammed being present in the press release that was issued by the United Nations Security Council, which of course is a big victory for India, because China is part of the United Nations Security Council and has not been taking a strong stand when it comes to the issue of terror emanating from Pakistan. And then we saw FATF also slamming Pakistan, saying that they do not understand the consequences of hosting these terror groups and the issue of terror financing related to these groups. So primarily it's a part of the growing trend, a trend in which Islamabad is increasingly isolated.